passe super l'artiste, super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De i semifinale igjen!
Welcome to part 2 of our mega EHF Euro 2024 preview show. I hope you enjoyed the review of groups A, B, and C. In this podcast, we're talking groups D, E, and F. And this is the Scandinavian side. So we've got the big dogs from the Scandinavian continent and some challengers in there. And we'll go through each group with some fantastic guests, as always. I'm joined by Chris.
Hello, Alex.
And Brian. And we're ready to probably dive into these next few groups to see and try to get convinced. As we've gone through each group, I feel like each guest convinces me that their team is the one that's going to the semi-final, or their choice is going to the semi-final. So at the end of this, we'll actually make our top 3 predictions and our MVP prediction.
Okay, I am here. Just I didn't get a chance to say hello. Alex cut me off. But yeah, let's get straight into it with Group D.
I thought I did say hi, sorry.
No, Chris goes, hi. And then he's like, I'm Brian. And anyways. Now we'll go into Group D, Norway, Slovenia, Poland, and the Faroe Islands. Let's get our teeth in with both of our guests.
To join us talking about Group D with Norway, Slovenia, Poland, and Faroe Islands, we have Daniel Høglund from Viaplay, the top commentator there. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing good. Just relaxed a little bit since the Women's Championship, but here we are again.
Yeah, and on the Faroe Islands side, we have a player, journalist, who's also based in Norway, so the perfect person to get on to talk about this. We have Faroese line player Helgi Hoydal. How are you, Helgi?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me.
And he's even brought his own mic, which already makes him the most professional guest we've ever had on the podcast. But yeah, this is a super exciting group for the neutrals, particularly the handball nerds like us, and that's because of Poland. No, because of Faroe Islands, and I think we have to start there. The Faroes making their debut. I think a team that has gotten all of us as kind of handball fans and neutrals very excited over the last few years. Now, basically on the eve of this championship, you're playing a test match against Belgium tonight. Helgi, how's the mood in the camp, and how is Olli Mitton? Is he fit?
Yeah, Ollie's began training again this week, so he will probably be contributing in the championship. So we'll see how much he plays over the weekend. Probably not a lot, but the mood is very good, and we're evolving every day, even though that it's a tight program, and we look forward to a tough championship on our part.
Daniel, are you a bit jealous that everyone used to get excited about Norway, now it's the Faroe Islands?
Well, I understand it, and I'm in the group stage. I'm kind of more excited about Faroe Island myself. It's not very often that we have this completely new story to tell. I mean, the story with our own players, it's kind of the same as it has been for many years. We have the same group of players almost since 2016, when we had our kind of real big breakthrough. So I'm really looking forward to presenting the Faroe Island team for the Norwegian viewers, because I think for many of our viewers who doesn't watch a lot of handball for the rest of the year, I think they believe that Faroe Islands is kind of the same as Greenland were in the Women's Championship, and that is kind of like this amateur team coming in and will be beaten with a lot of goals. So it will be really fun to kind of tell that story and to present them and show them that we have some of the biggest handball talents in the world meeting Norway in the group stage.
And Helgi, is there a difference to how you're approaching this tournament, or how this team is approaching their first kind of senior tournament? Are you looking back to kind of underage tournaments where the team has done well and trying to replicate that, or is it a different mindset?
Of course, it's different in the senior championship, but fortunately we have some experience in the youth championships, but this is a completely a new game for us, and we are approaching this with every trying to get inspiration from a lot of different places and different teams, and we have an experienced coach, fortunately, who knows a lot about this game and how it is to be at the championships. So we're preparing in every way possible as much as we can. Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of insight into the preparation? Because I guess once you qualified back in April, was there a shift in your personal preparations as well? Because there's not so much time you get to spend together. You had those test matches against Iceland a couple of months ago. You have the camp now. But I guess it must have been a big motivating factor for all of you, because you're all playing at different levels as well, to kind of raise whatever you can control, whether it be physically or mentally in that time.
Yeah, of course. It's not one single player who hasn't given it all since we qualified, and as you say, the big improvement is done out in the clubs on different levels, but we are very happy that when we meet with the national team again, it's right on the case. It's not any superficial work that has to be done, and every player is very prepared to do the job to make the team better, and we are looking maybe the strongest that we ever have been. And the preparation to the tournament is mainly focusing on the first game against Slovenia, because we have to surprise somewhere, and we have to use all possibilities we can to win a game, and we have the most time preparing against Slovenia in the first game. Yeah.
Daniel, so how's the Norwegian team shaping up in terms of injuries, and how fit is the squad looking? I mean, you mentioned as well that more or less the core team is the same as 2016. And do the expectations match up with past championships, or have you lowered your expectations a little bit?
Göran Johannessen and Abel Vikerød, they did not play the match against Denmark last night at the time of this recording, so they are still a little bit injured. I'm not sure how bad it is. They are hoping that they will play now the next two games in this Golden League tournament before the championship. And if you saw the game against Denmark, we badly need Abel Vikerød to be fit. Harald Reinkin, he played, I would say, one of his worst matches for Norway against Denmark. It was not good, and he has actually been struggling a lot in the national team compared to how he does it in the Bundesliga, and I find that quite strange and puzzling, and maybe we have to go back actually all the way to 16 to find his last really good tournament for the national team. So that's kind of worrying. So we need Abel Vikerød to be 100% fit, and I mean, you have seen him in Champions League this autumn or the last year, and at his best is that he delivered some fantastic games. That's been up and down, but at his best, he has to carry that position, and we have to hope that Reinkin can be better than we saw him against Denmark. And when it comes to the expectations, I would say my expectations were pretty low last tournament 1 year ago, and we were actually 3 seconds away, or 0.5 seconds away, of being in a semi-final. We were there. I mean, Bjørnsen, all he had to do was run 3 more steps and throw the ball anywhere in that arena. I couldn't believe it. It was the worst experience of my life as a commentator, and all my notes and papers were ripped into pieces. So I didn't have my notes during the extra time because I just threw it all away. So my expectations is higher than last year, mainly because of Kolstad has seemed good during the autumn. They started really terrible. Then I would say semi-final, forget it. But now Sander Sagosen looks really good. He's lighter, he's faster, he looks more his old self. Abel Vikerød has looked very good. Bergerud also at his best now looks good. So that makes me confident that we will fight for a semi-final spot. And the match against Denmark, we were behind with 5 goals yesterday, played a draw. That was a strong performance, I would say. So yeah, I think we will fight with Sweden for that semi-final spot, and I think we have a good chance against Sweden.
Yeah, you mentioned about Kolstad. Has there been discussion within Norway of, whether this is going to help the team? Because that's one thing that we talked about at the very start, that, the whole point was you get all the Norwegian players together, you get this generation that's been around since 2016, get them together, get them playing constantly, you get Christian Berger in, who's probably having a lot of conversations with Jonas Villa, and it's going to help the team. Is this, it's only been 6 months of this, or, it's only the start, but do you see that transferring into the national team already, or is this something that will take a little while?
Ooh, it can't be a bad thing. It has to be positive, right? If we can see that already, I think it's difficult I think you maybe have to have more handball coaching skills maybe than I do to see those details. But Berge and Jonas Ville, they have a similar kind of approach and philosophy. So the playing style of Kolstad and the national team, it's similar. So it will be a positive thing, I believe. What Berge was criticized for during his time as a coach was the lack of variety in the Norwegian play. We are pretty conservative in Scandinavia, both in our defense, as you guys know, and in our attacking play. That when we are struggling, we are still just doing the same and hoping that Sander Sagosen somehow will solve it. And we have also lost a little bit of our counterattacks, I would say, the last couple of years, which was one of our strengths when we had this real breakthrough in 16 and 17 and 2020, where we should have won the gold medal, I would say. And so Jonas Ville has to evolve as well, I think, because we don't play a lot of 7 against 6. We don't have a lot of more offensive, more, do you say that? Offense in the defense play, 5-1 or those kind of formations. And of course, when you see Denmark, when you see Nikolaj Jakobsen, he always have a solution for every difficult situation. And I think we really can improve in a lot of those areas, I would say. Yeah.
I didn't see that game against Denmark, but was Sander Sagosen playing two-way, kind of in defense and attack, and leading that transition? Because that's what he's been doing for Kolstad, and that's what he stopped doing for Norway a while ago. I think they are better when he plays two-way.
Absolutely. And remember in 16 we had Espen Lie Hansen as one of our transition players, and we scored a lot of goals in transition, just running up and throwing it from 9 meters before the defense was ready. We had a lot of those type of goals. And as you said, we have lost some of that. And yes, against Denmark, Sander Sagosen, he played both ways. Absolutely.
Helgi, you've also been playing in Norway the last few years, playing for Kristiansand. We don't want to make it too Norwegian, so I just want to get your quick thoughts on Kolstad and what you think that has done for this Norway team.
I think, as Daniel says, there's been a lot of improvement on the Kolstad team, and especially Sagosen looking in better form than he did at the start of the season, and that has been a big change for both Kolstad and the Norwegian national team. He has said himself that he's lost a few kilos, and that has made him in better shape, and he's playing both ways. Transition play, as you guys talked about, is one of his strongest weapons, and Sander Sagosen in top form is absolutely crucial for the Norwegian team to reach semifinals or maybe even a final.
On this Faroese team in the group they're playing, I think the whole group is what's really fascinating, because you have kind of two wildcard teams as well in Slovenia and Poland, both also dealing with some injury worries. What, at this point, would you consider a success to be for Faroe Islands at this championship? Is it something kind of on-court results, or is it a bit more kind of long-term thinking than that?
Yeah, it's of course when you're down in Berlin playing in this group, you want the results, but we have to evaluate on the play and how we play the games. If we're lucky and if we're good, we can play some exciting games and maybe even get the result. But we have to be on our absolute top to even think about a result in this group. It's a tough group, and of course Norway is the favorites are the favorites in the group, and Slovenia and Poland maybe we can. There's a talk with on a good day, maybe.
Stylistically, I think there are two very interesting matchups in Slovenia and Poland for Faroe Islands, because Slovenia is a kind of, let's say, a smaller, more dynamic team, which is probably similar to the Faroe Islands, while Poland are big, burly, but they actually struggle with a smaller, kind of faster playmakers. Is there one of them that stylistically, do you think you could is better for Faroe Islands to beat or to play?
In the recent years, we've seen that against the big heavy players, we have an edge on them in the 1-against-1 play, both defensively and offensively. The thing is that big line players don't suit us very well. So Subchak and Blagotinšek are gonna be tough to manage for us. We kind of have a mix between this, maybe some Slovenian handball and some Polish handball. We're very organized, but we have a very good we have some very good 1-against-1 players. So it's kind of a mix between maybe playing a little bit Scandinavian, a little bit more Eastern European, and maybe South European. I couldn't say if one team matches us better than the other, but it's gonna be tough no matter what team we meet down there. Slovenia and Poland, as I said, on a very good day for us, we can maybe think about a result.
Okay, boys, just before we let you go, we have to do the thing which nobody likes doing unless they get it right in hindsight, and that's predictions. So we'll start with you, Daniel. We want your gold, silver, bronze, plus your MVP for the tournament. I think Nora might sneak in there from what you're saying.
The problem for me is that at least one time, or maybe a couple of instances, I have predicted top 3 or top 4. That is impossible. That I have actually chosen,
on that as well.
Yeah,
as well.
on the too many teams from one side of the tournament. That has happened at least one time. Both me and Ole Erevik actually both did it at one tournament. So I must say that I've actually come a little bit unprepared into this and haven't really checked what is possible when it comes to.
You tell us and we'll tell you if it's possible or not, all right?
No, but I truly believe, of course, that Denmark will win. It's impossible not to say that Denmark will win. They have an amazing team, and I mean, this squad, this gang of players. It's one of the best teams we have ever seen, and they're playing fantastic handball. So I have to say that Denmark will again take the gold medal. Although it's a long time, isn't it, since they've done it in the Euros? They've been the World Championship team. So let's see if they are continuing to struggle in the Euros. But I think that that Denmark definitely will take the gold medal.
So far, so good. That can happen. So that's what
That was the easy part, wasn't it? And I'm wondering if I'm going to put Norway in a semi-final. And I actually think I will put Norway in a semi-final because although we have lost, remember Sweden, wasn't it last championship? They were one bad pass away from losing against the Czech Republic and getting the championship, ruined already in the group stage, and then they won a gold medal, and they actually should have lost against Norway as well. So I think Norway will beat Sweden this time and go through to the semi-final, and then we can't meet Denmark there, and then Norway will be in the final against Denmark, and we will take a silver medal.
Wow.
What about that?
Yeah. What about that? Yeah. I like it.
And then your bronze then goes to whoever Norway beats in the semi-final.
Yeah, and then I will say that Germany, the home nation, will have the advantage of playing at home. The home nations almost always goes a long way in the tournament, and I will say that we will do as we did in 2019 and beat Germany in the semi-final on their home turf. And Sander Sagosen can once again make the German fans angry, as he did in that arena. That was a great memory. So there you have it.
And your MVP?
My MVP, it depends, it will be Landin or Gitzel, and I will say Matthias Gitzel.
Helgi, how does your predictions match up?
Yeah, I agree with Daniel on most parts. I think that Denmark are looking very, very strong, and you have to have them as favorites to go all the way. I also think that Germany can do something on home court. They've shown it before. I think Iceland are looking stronger than ever, especially offensively, and Victor Gisli in goal is looking good. So. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible to have Denmark, Germany, and maybe Iceland number 3.
It is, as long as you knock out, as long as France aren't going to the semi-finals. Then
yeah, you can never underestimate France and Spain and Sweden also. But Norway are also looking strong. But I also have a little bit of a heart for Iceland. So I'll put Germany in second place and Iceland on 3.
Nice. And your MVP?
Omar Ingi Magnusson.
That's a nice, diverse range of predictions there, which is nice. Someone not going for Gitzel is always good to see. Daniel.
I'm playing it safe.
It's a safe play from Daniel.
I tried to do something fun and predict Romania top 4 in the women's championship, and that ended badly. So
fair enough.
I have nothing to lose here, so
amazing stuff, Daniel, Helgi. Thank you so much, and see you both at the championship. Good luck with your test match as well today, Helgi. And we'll all be rooting for you. I'm pretty sure even Daniel a little bit.
Absolutely. My heart is with the Faroe Islands.
Thank you very much, guys.
So moving on to Group E, and we've got Ola Selby from Handballs Canolin and Go Handball with us. Ola, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you guys?
Very good, and excited to speak about the reigning champions with you. And already within the 3 of us, I think we have 3 very differing opinions on what this team is capable of at the European Championship. So we want to hear what you think. How do you think this team is set up for the Euro?
I think it's actually looking quite good. I'm a bit worried about them only playing Ukraine and Japan this season before the Euros, but player-wise and so on, everything is looking pretty good, I believe.
It's interesting because for many years we've talked about this squad being very complete. I mean, we saw that when they won it. They're just, there's almost no weaknesses in the team. And a question that Chris wrote down for us to ask was, is there any weaknesses? But I found a weakness, and I want to ask if you think that is the same. And I think the form of the players of this Swedish team is not at the same level as it was in the previous years. Players like Jim Gottfriedson, even Johannesson, are not at like their peak performance. Do you agree with that? And do you think that will have an impact?
Yeah, I agree with you, especially those two players that you mentioned. I think in Jim's case, in Gottfriedson's case, he's played better. I think maybe December was his best month with Flensburg, but his season has not been that great besides that. So yeah, I definitely agree with you, but I don't know. On the other hand, there's other players like Felix Klar. He's had an amazing season, and other players as well. So, but I guess it's like it always is with Sweden. It's much up to Gottfridsson. So if he's not in tip-top shape, then it'll definitely have an impact on Sweden, no matter how great Klar is playing.
And when you look over the last 2 years, I mean, you talked about someone like Felix Klar is a name that comes into some people's minds, but how do you think the team has developed since they, or maybe not, or maybe gone a bit backwards since they have took the title at the last Euro?
Yeah, I think they've gone backwards actually, because especially in defense, when they won the Euros 2 years ago, that was the biggest part, the biggest reason, besides it being like a COVID championship. So it was weird in that case. But I think when it comes to the offensive, I would definitely say the defense part, that's not as great as it has been. Otherwise, it's quite similar, I believe.
I'm not sure if this is just like Scandinavian being down on the team here and not excited about it, but like someone like Felix Klar has really, really excited me this season, and maybe not completely surprised. He said it's going to rely on Jim Gottfriedson, but Felix Klar not a better player now? Is he not going to take over this team at the championship?
I think he should, based on form, but I don't think it'll ever happen. As long as Jim is in the team, it's basically his team. So I don't think that'll ever happen. But maybe they'll try and play and Klar as a left back in some cases, because Karlsberg basically never plays left back in Barcelona, and Erik Johansson hasn't had that great of a season either. So maybe, but as long as Jim is there, Klar will have to be the second player as a playmaker.
Because you have a bunch of players in this backcourt that, in one way, you can say they're really flexible. You know, Klar can play left back, playmaker. Same with Erik Johansson. Same with Karlsberg. But in another way, they've all kind of been playing primarily playmaker. All of these players, and it can be a little bit redundant. Do you think, this backcourt will click, or will it struggle to kind of find a place? Even just having all of these players around, it's a tough choice of who you fit into the starting lineup.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think when Glenn Solberg took over as the coach, he talked a lot about wanting two-way players, and when he took over, everyone was playing two-way in their club teams, but it's not like that anymore. So, but they're still trying to play the same way in the national team as they did 2 years ago. So maybe that there's something there that maybe they need to do something a bit different. I don't know what they need to do, but maybe they need to do something to change it up. And now they have Andreas Nilsson back in the national team as well. So they have a bigger threat from the pivot position. But on the other hand, I think it will be the third option behind Max Dye and Oscar Bergendahl. So I don't know how much they will use him, but they definitely need to do something else this championship. They can't do the exact same thing as they've done before. That'll never be good enough, I believe.
When you're saying that they need to do something a bit different, did the squad selection surprise you at all? That there was no new names really in there, or that it wasn't that adventurous with the squad selection? Yeah,
exactly. I think a player like Lucas Nilsson, who's been amazing in Aalborg this season, I think it's strange that he's not there, because the argument before has been, he's not that great. He's not that great a two-way player, but now I think he is. So maybe he should have been there. Otherwise, I I feel that the squad now, I don't have that much to criticize, but I think Lucas Nilsson should have been in the team.
Yeah, I really agree with Lucas Nilsson. I don't really get how a player like Karl Wallenius got ahead of him based on form this year. Lucas Nilsson has really been impressive in both the league for Aalborg and the Champions League. Maybe there's some a bit of a history there. You know, Lucas Nilsson was always one of the bad boys in Sweden's down era. I think he at least the press counted him as one. So maybe there's a bit of history there.
How do you think they'll navigate this group then? It's probably the best group they could get, I would say. It's one of the softest ones when you look at Bosnia-Herzegovina and Georgia in there. The Netherlands are going to be a tough challenge, but not at full strength with Kai Smits out. Is there any worries here at all for you?
I would love to say yes, because that would have been a much more fun answer, but I don't think there is anything to be worried about. If Kai Smits would have been playing, I would have been maybe a bit worried about the Netherlands. And no, I think Sweden should win all of these 3 games pretty comfortably.
Oh, the Netherlands, I had such high hopes for them this year, just based on the way that they've built their kind of year-on-year, tournament-on-tournament. I thought they were, just about ready to actually challenge for a semi-final spot, and then you lose Kai Smits, and that's all you can say, really.
The last question then will kind of inform what you think about this team's overall chances. Who are your 3 medal predictions for the end of the championship? And who do you think the MVP is going to be? And if Sweden is not in that top 3, why?
First of all, I think that Denmark and France are above the rest of the teams. They're in a class of their own. That's how I see it. And then it's between Spain and Sweden. So I think, so Denmark will get the gold, France will get the silver, and then I believe that Spain will once again beat Sweden and take home the bronze. So I'm that boring. It's the exact same podium as a year ago. But my dark horse is Norway. I would have liked to say Iceland as well, but I don't think their defense is good enough. And I think why Sweden won't be in the top 3 is just basically like it was a year ago. They can't handle when Spain do different things. They can't really handle that. So I guess I'm thinking that'll be a problem this time as well. And it's like I said before, Sweden they always do the same thing. They never change anything up, and I guess that doesn't fit that well with the way Spain is playing. So unfortunately, the exact same podium as a year ago.
And your MVP?
I have to say Matthias Gitzel. Boring as well, but can't really say anyone else right now.
That's fair. Good stuff, Ola. Thanks a lot. Enjoy these big test matches against Japan.
Yeah, I will. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
That was Ola on Sweden, and we wanted to get Steenhuis in as well to talk about the Netherlands, but he's a little bit busy right now. His partner is due to give birth any minute now. So he sent us a voice note instead, which I think is quite acceptable. And he gives a little bit of insight into the Dutch.
Obviously, the absence of Kai Smits is a huge blow for the Netherlands, together with Luc Steins and also goalkeeper Bart Ravensbergen. He's the most important player for the Oranges. The first Champions League winner from the Netherlands and also top scorer in the last 2 tournaments with the Dutch national team. Niels Verstijnen from Lemgo, also a right-back player, has to replace Smits. He scored 5 goals in 40 minutes yesterday against Egypt. The Netherlands lost with 30-28, and in the Golden League they will also play against Denmark, who is the big favorite for me to win the Euros, and Norway. So I'm really curious what the Netherlands can do. In the group, they're going to face Sweden, Georgia, and also Bosnia. I think the second place is the target, and if they reach the main round, that would be cool. And after that, it's going to be really hard because Verstijnen is the only right-back player besides Smits also. Tom Janssen from Gummersbach is injured, so it's going to be really hard to replace the right-back player from Flensburg. The Netherlands is a good team. The first, I think 8-9 players are good, and after that it's going to be a little bit different on this high level. Who's going to be the MVP was the last question. Well, it's a little bit boring, but I think Gitzel is going to be that. He's such a good player, and I think he will become handy as a Dutchman to replace Kai Smits, so I'm going to dream on.
Well, thank you for that, Stijn. He was hoping for second place for the Netherlands. Ola expecting first place. I guess that's pretty much on all of our cards as well. Our big question here, Alex, is our former opponents, Georgia, are they going to get a victory in their first Euro against Bosnia?
Well, I feel like, Georgia have something in them. I think they probably have a bit more momentum than Bosnia. I don't know, I'm pretty bored of Bosnia at these championships just showing up and not doing much. So at least for Georgia, it's a country on the rise with some young players and some good friends of ours that we've played many times, turning up like Cheka Bradze, who's really been a revelation in the Bundesliga this season. It's a revelation just because he's done some absolutely insane things like 360 no scope behind the back from 9-meter shots that go in. So do look out for him. But for Georgia, they are actually missing their second best player, Kaladadze, who I think we played against when he was about 16 and he still tore through us every time. But a Chambry player, he got a serious knee injury, so that's going to dampen their chances.
That's more insight on Georgia than any other handball podcast is going to give you, folks. So that's why you're here. Yeah, there you go. Alex Kulesh giving you value for money in a matter of a couple of minutes. Moving on to Group F, saving the best for last with our two guests here. And first of all, Marcio Menino. How you doing?
How you doing, guys? All good? All good. Great 2024 for everybody.
Happy New Year to you as well. And we're speaking to you on the Friday before the championship. We just saw Portugal play a test match against Germany yesterday. After that, how are you feeling about this team?
Chris, it's how we usually say, if we play well, it was just a test match. If we play bad, it was just a test match. So it's kind of like it's a good thing, and at the same time, probably some things that we need to change. I think that the score was better than the exhibition. But I do understand we were testing a lot of players and a new gameplay from what we previously had before, especially from 4 years ago, where we bet our lives on the 7 against 6, and now we were playing more as a team, as a normal 6 against 6, with sometimes playing the 7-6, but that's going to be just a few minutes per game. I don't think we're going to use it every time for like 15-20 minutes like we used to. I think now we're playing more as a 6 normal team, so to say. And the surprise is gone, and now everybody knows what we're able to do. But at the same time, is also we don't have any surprises to give. So it becomes a more, so to say, easier way to study us.
So you saying it's going to be boring now watching Portugal? Because we've been glazing over Portugal for years now.
It will never be boring. It will never be boring, but it's going to be a different style. And also we're renewing the team, as you can see, with the Costa brothers and all, and a few other members. So it's going to take us a little while. Hopefully not 10 or 15 years as it was before, but like in 1 year or so, we'll probably have a team capable of going up against the best ones again.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just about to say that, we've had a generation pass of Portugal, the one that came through, and they're almost on the way out. I was about to say that, and then I look at the age of Miguel Martins. He's 26. We have Cavalcanti, 27. Luis Friday, 25. So this generation is actually, they're just coming into their peak, and they're kind of being followed by another generation. So Do you think you're saying that it's still too early for that to really work? But do you think actually that slightly older generation is going to get better this time around?
Hopefully, yes. Because now we're having more chances to play internationally, and it's great for the kids to play these games because they develop and they have more experience for the future. I think this is probably it's going to be the two most important years for this generation, especially the 26, 27, as you was talking about, because they will be implementing their experience in the court, no longer the 35, the 34, 33. For me, I think the toughest job is done, which is getting there. And now becomes the job of this ones to keep it going, the consistency, to be on the top competitions always be in the top competitions, because the experience that the Francisco Costa and Martin Costa will have from this is the one that will rise them. They will go through until they're 25, 26. And the guys now, Cavalcanti, Frade, and Miguel Martins, like you were saying, are the ones that will implement their personal experience to Francisco Costa, to Joaquim Nazaré, to Martin Costa, to all the youngsters now coming to the team. Because although we have still Portela and Areia and Salina also in the team, they will be probably now in a position they will just pass through their experience here and not show it on the court as much as they did 4 years ago to the youngsters. And now I think this will be the stage that you need to let the medium ones to come up and show what they have.
Can I just say was really excited by the performance of Joaquim Nazaré yesterday. That really came out of nowhere for me. 22-year-old player in Skjern. Rasmus Boysen probably was waiting to let that one loose on all of us as a Skjern man. But no, he did it himself against Germany. Some of his play was fantastic. And finally, they have some options at right back, which has been, I think, the big kind of question mark for this team over every championship since they've qualified. It's like they haven't got a really high quality right back, which is maybe why they had to rely on 7v6 and so on. But that performance yesterday, the second half performance, kind of gave me a lot more hope about this team, because I think I and many others were not expecting too much from this team. So I wonder, in your perspective and the Portuguese perspective, what would be a successful tournament here for Portugal?
Yeah, I saw that you guys were saying that Portugal is going to be a disappointment, especially Rasmus is going to be the disappointing team of the tournament. But I think that for us, if we manage to get the top 12, maybe, just maybe the top 10, it will be awesome. As a transition team, as a team that is now trying to search for new players to get into the team, getting a top 12, top 10 will be amazing. I doubt that we will reach the 5th or 6th place as we did in 2020, and the World Championship we were 10th. But I doubt that we will be able to do that. But 12 will be a good result for us. But I think that the best result will be to see the kids playing a lot. I think that would be because next time it's going to be them always. So they need to start playing now and not in 2 years when they probably go like, oh, is this a ball? Oh, is this Denmark playing against me? Oh my God, I'm finally playing against my favorite player. No, they need to do that right now. And in 2 years, I'm gonna beat your ass. That's probably what they're gonna do in 2 years. But yeah, I think that's gonna be a good position for us, top 12.
So we want your gold, silver, bronze. I don't think you're going to send you top 10 would be good. I don't think you've Portugal in there. And then we want your maybe 4th place as well, just for fun. And then you can give us your MVP of the tournament.
Okay.
As well.
I think my gold will be France, despite the goalkeeper's issue. But I think it's going to be France. I think Denmark is going to be second. And I wanted to say Norway is third, but I don't know.
You can say that if you want.
I can say it, but I have my doubts still. But I saw yesterday also the match between Denmark and Norway. I was watching the game, and I was watching Nielsen just smashing that goalkeeping position second half against Norway, and I was like, Jesus, what is going on? So I'm kind of like in doubt on those three, but let's go with this. Let's go with this. And I think Germany will be or fourth or fifth because of home turf, as they say. It will be with a lot of German people going like, Deutschland.
And your MVP?
My MVP, I don't want to say Gitzel. I don't want to say it.
But it's gotta be Gitzel.
Choose another one. Just choose another different player. I'll go probably with Mem. I'll go with Mem. Dike Mem, yeah. I saw Spain also yesterday against Poland. And that defense was not convincing as it was in previous years. So I think Spain will probably, I won't say the disappointment, but you can never count off Spain, of course. In the previous two tournaments before, in 2020 and 2022, I said they would win. And they won, so I'm fairly okay on this. Got my back, yeah, pat on my back. But I think Spain will probably. They are also in a different generation as Portugal is, but probably theirs is kind of like, I won't say worse than us, but in a position that they cannot hold themselves to be on the medals. So probably. It's going to be that way.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Marcio.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Courtside.
Courtside, yeah, hopefully.
And take it easy till then. And don't forget to bring your passport. Yeah.
No. ID at least.
Cheerio.
Take care, guys. Take care.
And continuing Group F, we have a man who needs no introduction on this podcast, Rasmus Boysen. You looking forward to the championship, Rasmus?
Guys, of course I do. It's my Christmas Eve, so January is by far my favorite month.
Good stuff. So we've spoken to a lot of experts. A lot of people have given their opinion, and probably two of the most common answers were that Denmark are going to win and that Gitzel is going to be MVP. Are you feeling as confident that both of those things are going to come true, given the fact that Denmark maybe don't have the best history at EHF Euros compared to World Championships?
I'm going to say that I think there's a lot of good teams. It will be difficult. I don't see Denmark as such a big favorite as many others, I think. But of course, in my opinion, Denmark has the best, on paper, the best and most quality team in the world. So Denmark should be favorites. But I think there's a lot of good teams. I think the half for Denmark is great. Of course, Sweden and Norway are great teams, but should be possible to go to a semi-final. And then we know that everything can happen, and it's in Cologne, so everything can happen this time. So I think there's a lot of good teams, but and Mathias Gitzel, of course, we saw him in the Bundesliga. We have seen him in a lot of championships lately for Denmark, and he's just an absolutely massive player offensively. So yeah, he could be MVP, but again, I think there's a lot of good players who could stand out in this championship. And the European Championship is a bit different from World Championship, and also from the Olympics. Maybe not that much from the Olympics, but there's a lot of good teams, and history has shown also lately that with two teams going through and two teams going home, it's just not easy. But I think that Denmark, once again, the draw for Denmark is pretty good.
Tell us a little bit more about this Danish team. You mentioned Gitzel there. On paper, it's hard to find too many issues with it. We could maybe pick at the test match a couple of days ago and say, with Hansen and Lauge in there at times, it didn't quite flow as it should. How do you see that, and how do you see this squad as a whole?
Yeah, I see some players who have performed very, very well in this fall, and I see some players who haven't. I see Simon Pytlik, of course, going into the championship with an injury problem before, and now he's of course fit, but not on 100%. The same with Mikkel Damgaard. Mikkel Hansen has not played his best half of a season in Aalborg. Maybe a little bit the same with Rasmus Lauge, but also of course some players who have done so good. We just mentioned Mathias Gissel, but the goalkeeper duo also, of course, Emil Nielsen and Niklas Landin. In my opinion, 2 of the 3 best goalkeepers in the world, and of course that's a good start. A lot of guys in Denmark talks about the defense. We do that all the time. Is it good enough? But Denmark always scores a lot of goals, and maybe the defense, after all, isn't that important. But I see a Danish team with high hopes, with a lot of good players, and everyone asks what is the biggest problem for Denmark? It's difficult to find, but I have seen some matches when they play against opponents who play really, really hard physically. We saw it against Croatia in the last championship. They could have some problems. Also, Spain, maybe not that physically, but the tactically way. We also saw it in 2020 with Hungary. So if Denmark face a team who will do some damage tactically, defensively, maybe, I don't know, they could get some problems. And I think Denmark, we need to be humble. There's a lot of good teams, as mentioned before.
And you said that you fancied the draw, or you felt like you're happy with the draw in your Group F, obviously, with Portugal, Czech Republic and Greece. Talk to us a bit about the group and what you think is going to happen there, because you did pick Czech Republic maybe as your dark horse for the tournament. So you probably fancy them to come out over Portugal. Maybe you could just give us a few words on what you think about that group.
Yeah, of course, Denmark is huge favorites. And then after that, I think that it's pretty open. I think Portugal is a very good team on paper, but the last 2 or 3 years haven't performed that good defensively, and also for the goalkeepers. I don't see them as strong as some of the other teams, and I can see that Czech Republic, they have a great starting 7, in my opinion. They have maybe also in goal, Markva should be a better goalkeeper than the Portuguese guys. I saw that I don't know the situation right now, but I saw that he yesterday left the court against Hungary. So I think it was a hip injury. If he's out, of course, it would be a massive blow for Czech Republic. But I think we also saw it against Sweden in the last championship, European Championship. They just have some good players, Czech Republic, and I think that Xavi Sabate is a very, very tactically strong coach. So I think that they could maybe do some damage. Also, Matej Klima has been really, really good in Leipzig in this season, and they have a good team. And then, of course, Greece. I look forward to see them in the championship. I think also they have some great players. I like the atmosphere in Greece, and I like that they are developing as a handball country. So I think it will be very, very good for them to get some experience in this championship. And although they are underdogs, I think that also they have shown that they are good. They won't just lose with 10 or 15 goals against Czech Republic and Portugal, I think.
Yeah, it's a tough group for them to come into, Greece. But as you said, at least in qualifiers over the last 4 or 5 years, they've been able to beat some big teams and test some others. So nice that you're giving the debutants a bit of a chance there as well. And we mentioned just before we started recording that you'll be heading down to Germany a few times, and I can imagine there's going to be a lot of Danish support, particularly for Hamburg in the main round. And we've seen how important having venues just over the border has been, as well as at home. We saw it in Malmö a few years ago when it was a disastrous Euro. But do you expect a kind of a home championship in that way, a home feeling for Denmark, at least until the end of the main round?
Yeah, I think in the main round, I don't know about Munich, how many people who will travel there, but of course there will be a lot of Danes in Hamburg, and we have some good experience playing in Hamburg also in the 2019 semifinals against France. That was amazing. I was in the arena, and a very good experience. I think it will be good, but I don't see the home court advantage as such a big thing when we go into the main round, because of course there will also be some Norwegians and Swedes, I guess. But nice for Danish handball fans that they can go to Hamburg.
Brian mentioned before, it hasn't gone so well for Denmark at the Euros. It's been, I think, since 2012 they haven't won the gold. Of course, they've been there or thereabouts a few times, losing in semi-finals or finals, and of course the disastrous one 4 years ago. What do you think the key thing is for this team to navigate the championship and go towards goal, that maybe you're not outright saying right now that they're going to win, but that most people expect them to?
The biggest difference from the Euros and the World Championships is that Denmark like to get into the tournaments in an easy way, I think, to win some big wins, and we saw that in the World Championships, and that's just not the case in the Euros. That's more difficult. But maybe this time with the draw, I think that Denmark could get a good beginning and get a lot of players into the tournament in a right way. I think that's a good way to get into it from Denmark. And then, of course, in the main round, Denmark will face both Sweden and Norway, and these teams just know each other very, very well. And I also mentioned that when going into the semifinals and in Cologne, it's like, I think it's just a coincidence that the Euros Denmark haven't won since 2012, and maybe it's just all the luck we had in 2012. We have missed that afterwards, so maybe it's time again.
With this being such a big Euro, and I think in a lot of people's mind it's going to be maybe one of the best Euros, or hopefully one of the best Euros that we'll witness. It's fair to ask you about the host Germany and what you think their chances are, because I think that can have an effect on the whole tournament and how far they go in terms of the feeling of the whole tournament. Some people we spoke to are a little bit doubtful of them and how far they're going to go. What's your opinion on them? Because I think you're quite familiar with watching them week in, week out in the Bundesliga as well. And how strong of a squad do you think they have coming into it?
Yeah, for me, it's maybe the biggest question mark, Germany. For me, it's always difficult to predict the host, I think, because is it good or is it bad? Of course, normally for Germany, it's very, very good. But it's also, of course, a pressure, and they have a lot of young guys with pretty inexperienced teams in some positions. I think, of course, they have experience from the Bundesliga, and that's also great. But I see them great wingers, great line players, great goalkeepers. The biggest issue for me is like the backcourt, and in the backcourt, Yuri Knorr will be very, very, very important. He has not been on top in this season, but it looks like when playing for Germany, it's another role, and he's just great. We're also was also good against Portugal. I think it's like they have the chance to go to top 4, but I just don't see them win the championship. But of course, top 4 for Germany will also be a very good thing. And I think for the future, it's nice to see a lot of young guys coming in. Speth, Justus Fischer, Renard Usch in Lichtlein. All these guys, it will be a big thing for them. But for me, it's just difficult to say how will they cope to this experience. They will have a lot of support, but they also in a very, very difficult half with a lot of good teams. And I don't see the depth in this German team. So I think that on the right day, they can beat maybe every team, but also in the wrong day, they will have problems against a lot of teams. So for me, it was maybe not the best answer.
It's very fitting, because it's kind of the vibe we were getting as well from Bjorn Patson at the very beginning of our first podcast. And it's funny him talking about the young players, and Kevin Damas talking about the French team, and the likes of Karabatic, who are still in the squad. And Bjorn is saying, well, we don't have a choice. We don't have any old players. We need to bring in the young ones. So that side of the championship is so hard to call. One more quick one. You mentioned you were going to be doing some podcasts with Mediano. That's going to be in Danish, and you're going to be talking about the fantasy handball with Hold It. We're going to be doing a Hold It competition as well. So seeing as most of our listeners won't be able to speak Danish, can you give us a quick little bit of a tip for anyone building their fantasy team for the European Championship?
That's difficult to do quick. I'm going to make it 2 hours for Mediano, because like for me, the most important thing is maybe to follow the news and to swift players in every round is just very, very important. Of course, the European Championship, we don't see these very, very bad teams. So I also think that there's some good players in the small teams, and it's important to say that if the team win or lose, it's not that important. It's more important to find the players which makes a lot of goals and assists. And of course, as mentioned, it's difficult to do it quick, but there's some players I think that I would call must-haves, like definitively Matthias Gisel.
We'll finish off now with your favourite thing to do is give predictions. So you give us your gold, silver, bronze, and maybe also fourth place, and then who's going to be MVP at the end.
I think that Denmark will win, and I think they will win against France in the final. Then I think, for me, it was very difficult to say, okay, Germany or Spain, but I think Spain. For me to not say Spain, it's just too dangerous, because they always they're just so dangerous, and they know how to go to the semifinals. So I think they will win the bronze, and then Sweden as fourth place. I think they will win against Norway in the main round and go through. And then MVP, I think I said DKM, maybe just because it's too easy to say Matthias Gisel. I think he's the favorite, but it's maybe also because I just hope that DKM will have a great tournament. I think that in Denmark, he's maybe a little underrated because, of course, the main thing in Denmark is the championships, national team championships. And for me, he's maybe even better in the club than in the national team. So I just hope that he will have a good tournament and show that, in my opinion, he's the best player in the world.
Rasmus, a pleasure as always. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully see you at some point during the championship as well.
See you guys. A pleasure.
That's it. All 6 groups previewed. 11 experts giving their views. Have your minds been changed at home? Do you know which way the gold is going to go to? I think many people agreed on it, but there are a few dissuading voices among the 11 there, which is good to hear as well. And we're going to give our predictions for the medals and MVP as well. But just like we did at the end of the first podcast, which 6 teams are going to go through to the main round for Group 2? Alex?
This one is relatively easy. I think Sweden, Netherlands ahead. I think Netherlands, they're just not quite where I want them to be, but the group is clear. Denmark, Portugal should go through. I think Czech Republic may pose a challenge, but this Portuguese team is going to be good in this championship. And I skipped the very first group, and that is Norway, a Group D, which I completely skipped on Wikipedia as I'm looking through the groups. Norway are going to win that group. After that, that's the hard one. Poland to go through.
Oh, Brian?
Yeah, I think I stick with the way the group is sitting at the moment. Norway and Slovenia, first and second. Sweden, Netherlands stays as it is. And I think then, I think it's, I might say Denmark, Czech Republic for Group F.
Yeah, Czech Republic, the dark horse coming out of nowhere. Rasmus Boysen mentions it once, and here we are all tipping them to go through.
I think Denmark, Portugal as well. And Sweden, Netherlands. Can Faroe Islands do it in the opening day against Slovenia? Helgi is saying there that like everything they're doing is preparing to do something to surprise Slovenia. Maybe, but I'm going to go for Norway, Slovenia. Our Faroe Islands are going to have one good result, though. Whether it's against Poland or Slovenia, I don't know. But it may not be enough to take them through.
I think Helgi convinced me with the Shipchak argument that he's just too big and powerful for
very big.
The Faroe Islands and probably for Slovenia as well. That's what tipped me towards Poland.
Okay, now for the big one, the medals. Who's got their medals and MVP ready?
I know you do, Chris, so you go first.
Well, I have France, Iceland, Sweden, Denmark as semi-finalists. I think it was Bjorn right at the beginning of the podcast who said that, and I agree, which is never a good sign. But I'm going to go Denmark gold, Iceland silver, France bronze. MVP, it's going to be one of those kind of throwback MVPs. It's going to be Miguel Hansen. Yeah.
To go with against my whole take on the old boys. It's time for these old boys to move over.
It's not going against your take. It's just how it's going to be. You know, it wasn't so long ago that he was capable of doing it, and you know, when he scores 40 penalties, that's going to help bolster that. So yeah, but Denmark to win gold.
Did absolutely everyone predict Denmark to win?
I think so.
No.
Actually, I think two didn't.
Someone went for Sweden. We've had so many now, I can't remember.
Yeah. But it's impossible to look past Denmark. It just is. Denmark are going to win it. That's the way it is. I think from that side, I see Norway coming out into the semi-final. I just don't have a good feeling about Sweden this year. And from the other side, it's much more difficult. And I'm going to go with a simple one. And I'm just going to say France and Spain. Because they're just going to do it. And I have Denmark beating Spain in the final. Norway, bronze medal. And MVP has to be Matthias Gissel.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But, you know, we can't all say it.
It's just, he's too good.
He's too good. Ryan?
Since so many people...
Can I change my MVP? Emil Nielsen is going to be my MVP. He's my true MVP. He's going to take over the goalkeeper position, and he's going to win it. There you go. Sorry, Brian.
I'm literally the last person giving.
Brian is
the last
stressed.
person. Yeah, the last person giving a 14 prediction now.
14 predictions.
And everyone has said Denmark. Pretty much.
You love it. You love being the last one, Brian. You want the last word in predictions to be yours. So then when you get it right at the end.
But I've written it down earlier, and I've changed it during the podcast, and I've changed it 5 times now.
I changed mine while I was speaking. I had something in my head, and then something else came out. Because
I just want to be different, you know? That's the problem with me, you know? So it's not what I actually think. Denmark are going to win this, right? But it's not what I'm going to predict, okay?
I'm going to edit all of this out.
Okay. I want to say something really... Oh, God. I want a fairy tale. But I don't know what fairy tale this is going to be. No, I'm just going to say it, right?
Say it.
Well, no, I'm going to go a bit more realistic. Okay, France to win it. Denmark to come second. Norway to come third.
What's the fairy tale?
The fairy tale was Norway were going to win it. And then get knocked out of the Champions League, Kolstad. But MVP... Everyone thinks they're going to win the Champions League as well, but they won't. MVP...
I'm going to change mine to Sagasson. I'm just going to go with Sagasson MVP because he's fantastic. He's my favorite player to watch. So I'll go with Sagasson as MVP.
All right, so France, Denmark, Norway, and DKM MVP. It's not that crazy, but... I've gone crazy too often, it's my problem.
If we had our guests changing their mind like this, we'd be hounding them. But I guess that's the privilege of hosting the podcast. We can do whatever we want. All right, that'll do it. Thank you so much to all of our guests. Fantastic day and a bit of recording we've just had. And thank you all for listening. We will have regular podcasts throughout these next 3 weeks as we go through potentially the biggest major handball championship of all time. Time will tell. Enjoy the opening game, and we'll talk to you after that. Goodbye.